Research Project A3. So, did I meet the objectives I set? At the beginning of the Research Project 2 booklet, I set 5 objectives I wanted to complete by the end of the project. These 5 objectives were to define the shooting fouls and work rate, to design a notational analysis system to compare 2 performances by Liverpool Football Club, to compare the shooting fouls and work rate of Liverpool Football Club, to analyse 2 performances of shooting fouls and work rate of Liverpool Football Club, to discuss 2 performances of shooting fouls and work rate of Liverpool Football Club. For the first objective, I did achieve this. This is because I referenced the definitions in the performance criteria section in the literature review chapter of the project, which clearly shows a definition of a shot, foul and work rate of football. My evidence backs up my statement that I have achieved this objective because it shows a definition of each. The definition of a shot is aiming at a specific target, such as a goal or basket, from Gledhill 2010. Moreover, the definition of a foul is any player who lunges at an opponent in challenging for the ball from the front, from the side, or from behind using one or both legs with excessive force or endangers the safety of an opponent is guilty of serious foul play. The Association 2018. Lastly, the definition of work rate is the pace or level at which a player runs, attacks, defends, recovers, or pursues opponents during the course of a match. From MLSsoccer.com 2018. The next objective was to design a notational analysis system to compare 2 performances by Liverpool Football Club. I also achieved this objective because I created keyword buttons on the programming software Dartfish, which allowed me to code the games and keep count of the number of shots and fouls which happened during the game, as well as the work rate as it happened. My evidence backs up that I achieved this objective because it shows the buttons that I used for the games, therefore using the notational analysis, which is on the next slide. The third objective was to compare the shooting fouls and work rate of Liverpool Football Club. I achieved this objective because I used the buttons to analyse 2 different games that Liverpool played in, counting the fouls and shots taken, then following the work rate of James Milner. My evidence backs this up because it shows 2 charts, one from each game which compares the work rate of James Milner. As well as this, small graphs can be seen in the results section of the project. So these are the graphs and the keyword buttons. The fourth objective was to analyse the 2 games. I achieved this objective because I successfully compared and analysed the 2 games, seeing the similarities and differences between the data in the 2 games. This is backed up by my evidence, which can be seen in my discussion in my Research Project 2 booklet, showing comparisons between the 2 sets of data. The final objective was to discuss the 2 performances. I achieved this objective because in my discussion I discussed the similarities and differences between the 2 performances, with examples from the sets of data. This is backed up by my evidence, which can be seen in my discussion in my Research Project booklet 2. And this is the discussion. Strengths. The first strength is that my planning in assignment 1 was all done on time, and the method was accurate to what I did in the actual experiment. This is good because by being accurate with my planning, I had a clear understanding of what I had to do in the project and what I was looking to find in my end results. The positive of this is that by knowing what I wanted to do and having a clear plan laid out, it saved me time when analysing my results because I knew exactly whether or not the results matched my hypothesis or if they were slightly off. Also, I completed my plan on time, which was positive because it then gave me the full amount of time to analyse my matches, meaning that I didn't need to rush my analysis, resulting in there being less human error and my results being more valid. The next strength is that I picked a sport that I follow closely, so I had a very good knowledge of the games going on and the team I picked as a club I support, and therefore there were no problems with identifying members of the team. This is positive because if I had picked a club that played in an obscure league, with players that aren't very well known, and then I may have struggled with identifying them, which could lead to a decrease in reliability, as I may have gotten some of the players mixed up, or it could have delayed the analysis a lot more, as I would have needed time to recognise who it was. Compared to the team I chose, I knew every player's number and their general appearance on the field, so I could identify them straight away. Furthermore, if I had picked a sport that I had less knowledge on, and then there may have been times where I wasn't sure on what was happening, meaning that I could have missed vital points of the game that I needed to analyse. This would decrease reliability because there would have been a chance of me recording wrong parts of information. The final strength is that Dartfish was very useful with my coding. The coding buttons allow me to click on every bit of information that occurred at the relevant moments as it happened. This means that I could record everything happening accurately and efficiently, whereas hand notation would have taken a lot longer. The benefit of this is that by being more efficient with my coding, it gives me more time to analyse the results, so that I can give good analysis of why my results came through as they were, and therefore I can make comparisons between the two games. Also, by using Dartfish for both games, it made it more valid, as if I used hand notation for one or the other, then there'd be an argument that the one I used Dartfish on could be more accurate because there's less human error. Weaknesses. The first weakness is that when recording James Milner's work rate, it is off of a broadcasted game and therefore I can only record what they have filmed. This means that Milner isn't always on the screen, which is bad because I can't predict what he's doing off of the screen, causing my results to show his work rate of what I can see, instead of what his work rate was throughout the whole game. This is a weakness because it doesn't include his whole work rate for the time he was on the pitch, meaning that I couldn't give his distance round data to a company if they wanted it, as it isn't accurate to what he actually would have run in the game. In order to track this information, I would have had to have been there so that I could see him at all times, or I'd have to use a GPS tracking device to record the amount he has run throughout the game. The next weakness is that we couldn't re-watch the games too much because of time restraints. This is a weakness because by not being able to re-watch the games, the reliability won't be as strong, because by doing it more times, I could compare the results, and if they were all the same or similar, then my results will be a lot more reliable, because I would have tested them more than once and got the same result, showing that I'm doing it accurately. By testing it less, the reliability is decreased on my experiment. The last weakness is that I could have investigated more of the performance criteria. This is because I only analysed the shots and fouls from Liverpool FC against Real Madrid and Man City. If I had more time, I could have analysed things like the passes completed in the game or the possession statistics. This would have made my research project more in-depth, and there would be more analysis to the game, giving me a greater range of results to analyse and compare. What would I change, keep the same? So, what would I keep the same? In future projects, I would use Dartfish again because it was a reliable form of coding, which helped me to get all of the data I needed to compare and analyse the results. As well as this, if I were to analyse the shots and fouls in a game again, I would use the same keyword buttons because they were detailed so that every button contributed to an accurate representation of what happened, so there was no confusion for me when I was analysing the results. For example, it had all of the players and their contributions with what type of shot they took, whether it was successful or not, where it was from, and when it was in the game. This allowed me to give a strong comparison, because I could look at the graphs I got from each game and compare them to each other, and then end up with a conclusion of how Liverpool compared in each game, and in which they performed better. What I would change is I would watch the games more times to add more reliability to my results. This would be more beneficial to my project because then my results can be trusted more, meaning that more people or broadcasters may want to use them. Another thing that I would change is I would track the work rate of more than one position. For example, I would track the fullback as well as the midfielder or striker. This would be very good for my research project because it will give me another thing to analyse, as I can compare the two positions and say who runs more and why that might be. Furthermore, I could comment on their time spent sprinting or jogging. For example, if I compared a striker and a midfielder, it is more likely the midfielder will spend more time jogging as they are coasting around midfield, whereas a striker may spend more time sprinting as they are getting on the end of through balls or running past defenders. This would increase the quality of my analysis and my research. How could I develop my project? The first way I could have developed my project is by including two games and having each from different eras. For example, one could be from modern days like the 2018 Champions League final, and the other could be from the 1998 Champions League final. This could determine how football has changed in that time gap and what the play style is like now compared to back then. For example, it has become more common in modern football to have the fullbacks running forward more, and therefore that could be a big difference in the play style of teams. Furthermore, possession-based play styles are more common, with teams trying to keep hold of the ball more, which could be another difference. By using two games that are further apart from each other, I am more likely to find some differences in the play style, meaning that I can compare and analyse these differences, leading to a higher quality analysis and research. The next way that I could have developed my project is by using games from different tournaments. This is because I used games which were both from cup finals in the Champions League and the League Cup. This means that it's hard to compare how they may approach the games as they are in the same situation of a cup final each time. By analysing a cup final as well as a friendly game, I may be able to compare and analyse how they play in each game. For example, in a cup final they may be more cautious because they don't want to concede, whereas in a friendly they are more likely to play more free-flowing football, as there is no pressure on them because the result of the game won't contribute towards winning any trophies. This will develop my project because I would be able to say how players respond differently to the situation and how the competition, because I could track a couple of players playing in both the cup final and friendly and see how their contributions in each game differ or whether they are similar. The final way that I could have developed my project is by using more performance criteria so that I had more to compare and analyse. For example, I did fouls as a rule break, but if I had done tackles as a performance criteria, I could have indicated who was the better defender in the team and who was the most reckless. I could have determined this by looking at the amount of tackles won compared to the fouls given away, because a player who has won less tackles and give away more fouls is likely to be more reckless in their tackling, and more likely to be sent off in a game. As well as this, I could have looked at the tackles by each player, which could tell me how hard working they are as a team. For example, if a striker is making a few tackles, and players all over the pitch, and then I could say that they are a hard-working team, and all of the players are getting back and helping out defensively. This would develop my project because it would improve my analysis of the games and add more to the statistics of the games.